Thank you all for being here again. My name is Alice Jansen, and I'm the Education Director with the Texas Children in Nature Network. And we thank you for joining us for our webinar today. The webinar is called Building and Managing the Trinity River Crew, Youth Employment and Green Careers with Jimena Vivanco. And she is the Conservation Manager with Trinity Park Conservancy, and she is also one of our valued board members for the Texas Children in Nature Network. So Jimena, thanks for offering to do this webinar, and thanks for all your support as a board member as well. We also have Deandra Ramsey, who is helping us with our tech support, and she will also be taking attendance for today's webinar.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. We have automated closed captioning available for this webinar. You just have to click the Show Captions CC button on the Zoom toolbar for the live transcript options. We are recording our session today, so we ask you all to turn off your cameras and mute yourselves during the presentation to be able to save bandwidth and to not interrupt this webinar that Jimena will be presenting. I will be monitoring the chat throughout the webinar, and you're welcome to share your questions there, and I will give them to, I will show them out to Jimena verbally during the Q&A portion of the presentation. And then I would also just like to remind everyone to be friendly in the chat and to be respectful and all of that good stuff. Not really a big issue with this crowd, but it's important to remind folks. All right, so I will be sharing the link of the webinar recording with everyone in a follow-up email that I'll send out probably sometime next week. And we'll also include any resources that Jimena has shared as well. And with that in mind, if you're uncomfortable with your name showing up on the recording, you can change your name to anonymous, and then you can also private message Deandra with your name for attendance so that you get counted for the attendance. You can also change your name by hovering over your name and then clicking the three dots that appear. You can change your name that way. And then if your Zoom name doesn't match the name you registered with, please change your name or private message Deandra with your name. And this next part is very important. So please listen up. Only registrants that attend the live webinar are eligible to receive a certificate of completion. We do not automatically send out certificates to folks that attend the live webinar. You must request the certificate after attending the webinar. And the email you receive with the webinar Zoom link has the specific instructions for requesting the certificate. We do take attendance during the live webinar, and we do check our attendance list to confirm your participation. And we will need the name you registered with to issue the certificate of completion. All right, with that, I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. Texas Children in Nature Network is headquartered in Austin, and as such, I'm on the ancestral and unceded land of the Tonkawa, Comanche, and Sana people. Our ongoing colonial presence on Indigenous lands compels us to take action now to counteract the effects of colonization. The work we do through the Texas Children in Nature Network is just one small step towards that effort. We'll also put some information in the chat here momentarily to learn more about land acknowledgements and these Indigenous peoples groups. So once again, we thank you all for being here. We have a very special webinar planned. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Jimena to get started. Thanks, Jimena.
Thank you, Alice, and then also thank you, Deandra, for all the tech support. Thank you to everybody here to kick off the new year with this webinar. Happy to be the first one in 2025 with Texas Children in Nature Network. So as Alice mentioned, today's topic is creating and managing a youth-based conservation crew. And this is from insights that I've gathered the past 4 years running our program, the Trinity River Crew. My name is Jimena Vivanco, and I work for Trinity Park Conservancy as their conservation manager. A little bit about us before we get into this. Trinity Park Conservancy is a nonprofit Dallas-based organization that supports the Trinity River through our programs like the Trinity River Crew, and more prominently with our ongoing work like the Harold Simmons Park Project. And that is, I just wanted to touch on that very briefly because this program is only one of many things that we do, and the Harold Simmons Park project is really the biggest thing that we've been working on. While I talk about today's agenda items and what we'll be discussing, I'll give you some renderings to look at. And I just wanted to highlight these because we're set to hit some major milestones in this project in 2025 in terms of groundbreaking and construction for a public park that's going to impact millions of Dallasites. So if you want to learn more about that, we have more information at the end. But back to today's topic, we have a little bit of an overview about how this program got started and the roots that built it to what it is. We talk a lot about our community and who we're impacting with this program, as well as how that impacts every single step of our program, from the design of it to the hiring process and recruitments, and also which partners we choose, the structure itself. So what exactly does this program look like? What do we do with the youth over the summer? And then our moment to reflect on the milestones that we've reached, as well as some of the frequently asked questions that we have with this program and challenges that we explore every single year, as well as opening up for conversation within the group in case there's any questions. So let's just get into it. The Trinity River Crew really started with an idea back in 2018 when Green Space Dallas, formerly known as Groundwork Dallas, launched a summer youth employment program. And this was an annual 7-week job training opportunity provided to teens with environmental career exposure. Using this as a successful program model, Greenspace and Trinity Park Conservancy created a formal partnership to develop the Trinity River Crew, which focuses these efforts on shared common interest, which is our river. And so by creating this idea, we applied and were selected as a Texan by Nature conservation wrangler way back in 2020. And for those that may not be familiar with Texan by Nature and the work that they do, each year the Conservation Wrangler Cycle program chooses up to 6 projects statewide and helps provide about a year to year and a half worth of tailored support for any of the program or projects that they have selected. And when I say that, I mean they help cover program management, strategic messaging, metrics capture, professional content production, and partnership development, literally whatever it is that your program may need to jump over this bump or to get it started. It's a really wonderful program, and we've been really fortunate to be a part of that network. So it was in this year that Texan by Nature took our idea and really helped expedite the process of actually launching the Trinity River Crew as this new iteration of workforce programs in Dallas. And the goal for this is to provide meaningful paid conservation work, as well as education, leadership experience, and professional development for youth from historically marginalized areas along the Trinity River. So that's a lot, but I will go into detail on how we touch all of those subjects with them here in a second. But I really wanted to touch slightly on why there was a geographic emphasis on this goal, the Trinity River Basin, because this kind of idea of creating jobs for youth that are based in conservation-based programs is definitely not new. And there are several partners, even in network here, such as the Austin Youth River Watch, the Student Conservation Alliance, and Texas Conservation Corps that have very similar, if not identical, models for what they do. The difference is that their area of influence is not North Texas. And so while these organizations have made wonderful impacts in their own cities, we don't really have anything like that in Dallas or in the DFW area in general. Many of those opportunities have other barriers that may be associated with them, whether that's age, whether that's experience. And so it's not that there aren't opportunities out here in Dallas, but we don't have this kind of step in between to get these young adults into these spaces to begin with. So that's why that was a focus with this idea. But in general, what we wanted is to create a model program that could be replicated pretty easily with way less time and resources that some of these organizations may already have. You know, some of these really wonderful organizations have been doing this for decades, and this is us on our 4th year. So really wanted to set an example of if you wanted something as wonderful as these programs that already exist, how are you able to start that at maybe a smaller scale with the resources that you already have? So, moving forward, let's see what else we've got to talk about. Let me go on to the next slide. Our community. So, as I mentioned, every single decision in making this project really came back down to the question of who is this serving? And that is something that we thought about again from the conception of this idea. And that's something I have to think about every single year when we start the recruitment process as early as January. Really, I'm already preparing to go out and talk to community groups and organizations. But a big thing that shapes this program is how do we go about spreading this information? So, from the conception of the program, the mission was to provide opportunities specifically for West and South Dallas youth from underserved communities that live adjacent to the river. And that informs curriculum partners and recruitment selection. So, the map that I showed here too is from a 2014 environmental impacts assessment that was done by the Army Corps of Engineers. And it delineates these areas in blue as spaces that have significantly higher poverty rates compared to the rest of the city of Dallas. I will point out that these yellow areas are mostly manufacturing plants, factories, warehouses that aren't really residential, and most of the blue that you see here is residential. So it's showing that more often than not, these communities that are living next to our river here in Dallas tend to be falling below the poverty line. So it gives us a really great framework to say, you know, these are the areas of highest priority, not just because this is an opportunity for economic mobility, but also geographic proximity to the river means that we are engaging with the communities that will benefit the most from this culture change into stewarding of the land and appreciating the benefits and values of what our river provides. So another thing that is super important for creating a program like this is that it was important to understand and address any barriers to participation in order to make this accessible and equitable for all. So many challenges that you may see in other cities that people may have when it comes to economic mobility when they are struggling below the poverty line include some of the classics like transportation, meals such as food insecurity, and then just the tools and means to do the job. So in order to do that, our program from the beginning understood that we needed to provide transportation whenever applicable and as needed from the crew members' neighborhoods to their work every single day. We also provide uniforms. As you can see here on the left side, everybody has clothes to wear for the day. They don't have to use their own clothes and get them as dirty. Oh, my bad. We also provide daily lunches and daily breakfast snacks in case they weren't able to get any food at home for that. And any of the tools that we are using on site are provided by us. So they really just have to show up and be willing and wanting to work in this opportunity. And then lastly, another thing that we underscore is the professional development that we want our kids to leave with. So regardless of what zip codes they are coming from, the demographic that we are targeting is teenagers living in Dallas. And most of those, this would be their first job. They have no prior experience or exposure to ideas like this. And so what we want to do is equip them with the tools to make them more successful in the future. And so by threading in financial literacy, resume building, interview prep, and other professional development opportunities like mid and post program professional reviews, we're able to give them more, opportunities to practice speaking in public, to practice marketing themselves efficiently after this program is done. So their chances of getting a new job, whether that is in conservation or elsewhere, is a lot easier. Okay, next up is talking exactly about how we go into our recruitment and how we lean on our community partners for this. It really is key in terms of getting the right pool of applicants. And I want to emphasize that this is an opportunity that is available to any student in Dallas, in the DFW Metroplex, really, but the barriers that we are removing just based off of our capacity are more focused in the geographic area that we're trying to impact. And so this doesn't mean that a kid from North Dallas or even the surrounding suburbs can't apply and can't make the program, but they would understand that they probably have to get themselves to work every single day. That's not something that we are able to help out with, but they get everything else that anyone else does. What we are trying to do, though, is raise awareness of this opportunity to the kids that would benefit from that kind of support. And so we do a lot of concentrated and targeted outreach in these zip codes that are surrounding the river. Um, and so in general, this community-focused target outreach is focused on these zip codes, and it's thanks to collaborations with two key partners. They're not the only ones, but they're main ones that are helping out with this, which includes the Wesley Rankin Community Center and LULAC's LNESC. And so I'll talk about each one individually and how our model kind of works with them. Wesley Rankin is a community center that is deep in the heart of West Dallas, which is, again, a community that we're trying to target here. And they've been around for over 100 years. And so they're deeply rooted into their community. A really endearing story is like one time I went to go to that center and I was talking with some of the adults there that were a part of their senior citizen programming that had been a part of their student after school programs their entire life. So there are people in these neighborhoods that have grown up with this organization their whole lives, and it's super trusted. And so that kind of community support and trust is crucial here because that means that we are getting people that are multi-generational in this space. And the program that they have specifically for high schoolers is called the Wesley Rankin Aspiring Professionals Program. And it's created to cultivate the talents of the high schoolers and increase their college and career successes. So they ask students that complete the program for the first 2 years of their high school time as upperclassmen, they ask them to find summer jobs. And so they help partner with organizations like us to help facilitate the interview and application process. And by collaborating with them the past few years, it's made it really easy to get, again, a pool of students that is coming from the zip codes that we want and already have an attitude of commitment. They already understand that they are expected to have a summer job, that they are going to put off maybe the vacations or trips out of state to really dedicate their time this year, this summer, in the work that they're trying to do. So it has proven to be really successful because we're facilitating a need that they are meeting a need that they have, which is job opportunities and partnerships with local organizations like banks and hotels and nonprofits like us. And we are getting just a really great batch of kids to choose from. They don't make up the majority of the crew by any means. We take 1 to 2 per year, but it makes the recruitment really easy. And we are returning partners, so that partnership has only strengthened. The next partnership that I want to talk about is the LULAC National Education Service Centers. And so these are nonprofit community-based organizations that offer, again, strategies that dramatically improve educational outcome for students. For people that may not be familiar with LULAC in their area, the AVID program is also really similar. College readiness really is a lot of what they do. And they also have similar expectations for their high schoolers. They're asking them to find internship positions or be involved in their community through these kinds of programs. And again, we are able to fill that need. The difference here is that the RAP program is very focused in the kids that are active in the community center, whereas LULAC gives us more opportunities to reach out to schools that are in our priority zip code. And I do want to talk a little bit about that too. We have not opted to do our outreach directly with the schools for a few reasons. First of all, the communication between nonprofits and education, at least in Dallas, always seem to be slow, whether that's because schools have already a lot on their plate and trusting a new program, a new partner is slow and hard to do. There's high turnover rates. And so by going instead with these long-standing third parties, it's really helped us find the high schools that we're trying to reach out to and the communities that we're trying to communicate with. So what about the actual program? Let's start talking about numbers and responsibilities and logistics. The team formation of it all. What is this all made up of? Um, this program is made to serve really 13 brand new youth every single year, but we do have a leadership position that is available for returning crew members that they can help us out with in following years. And then there are, of course, adults and full-time staff to facilitate all of this. So on the right here, I've kind of got a breakdown of numbers and responsibilities. And on the left, I also have a very simple calendar visual that can help out with conversations understanding. So Green Space Dallas and Trinity Park Conservancy year-round plan collaboratively for the program, from logistics to curriculum development to coordination with project partners and speakers. However, Trinity Park Conservancy and Green Space kind of divide the responsibilities based off of their strengths. And so Trinity Park Conservancy, which is me, I take on most of the strategic and programmatic responsibilities leading up to the actual program. So taking point in organizing recruitment strategies and timelines, deadlines, marketing, branding, and planning with partners. That's usually where I take the lead. But Green Space plays, oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Green Space keeps a lot of the responsibility when the actual program is happening. And these are the nitty-gritty logistics. They are helping with payroll. They're the ones that take on all of that responsibility. They are helping us out with the transportation. The big green bus that you saw a few slides ago belongs to them. They also help provide a bus driver. And then also hosting the youth group at their office, just the way that our nonprofits work. Our space would not be able to manage 15 young individuals all summer, but Green Space does. And it is also really great because they manage and store all of the tools in their space. And they also have, just in staff, better technical expertise for the projects that we do throughout the summer. So each organization provides one full-time staff for the actual 7 weeks of the program to help lead the crew members on a daily basis and make sure that all of the programming that we plan leading up to it is actually executed. Whew. Give me one second. The Trinity River Crew program, after the first year in 2021, decided to pilot an extended leadership opportunity to give our 13 crew members a chance to come back another summer if they really liked it. But this time, to help us out and support the work that we are doing to prepare it. So they become assistants, they become leaders in their own right. And so they are promoted to higher pay and they work more hours compared to the standard 13 members. Due to the exclusive nature of this position, which is again really only offered to the kids that have already done this program, this position doesn't get any significant promotion uh, during the recruitment period, but it's also kind of
Yeah,
competitive too with
yeah.
only
Hey,
two
I
spots.
got beat down. I'm gonna go do it.
Sorry about that, y'all. In terms of their actual responsibilities, we hire them just in, or I'm sorry, the, sorry, looking back at the calendar here, we begin actual recruitment for this position in February, which is when we do a 6-month reunion for all of the alumni that did the program the year before. And at this point, they have 6 to 8 weeks to apply and submit their resume and their cover letter, and also conduct an interview with us. They are hired at the beginning of April, just in time to be able to shadow and have professional development leading up to the summer. And so the shadowing opportunities that they do include helping us with the Trinity River Crew interview so that they have a chance to see how we build the rest of the team. They're also present during meetings with our partners to plan for the summer. Any equipment purchases and setup for the program they help out with, and then general program assistance. They are extra set of hands. They really make this program so much easier for the two adults that are having to see the big picture. They just keep everything running and are extra hands on the ground in the summer. Lastly, the crew members, the actual 13 participants that are experiencing this for the first time and applying for the opportunity, they have a less excuse me, a less rigorous application process. We have a application form that they fill out. So we're not asking for any prior experience, not even a resume, just really trying to gauge um, interest and understand why they want to do this program. And from that pool, we select maybe 40 of the applicants to do an interview. From that, staff from Green Space and TPC come together and we choose our top 13. On average, we get about 100 applications per year, and that's because we've shortened the window and really focused in on who we're promoting this with. The first year, when we had a much longer window and we were telling everybody to join, there was about 350 applications. So the interest for it here in DFW is really apparent, but capacity becomes a big question. Okay, moving on to the next slide. What do we actually do in this program? So this program, it is 7 weeks long from mid-June to early August. The crew members work for 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, same hours every single week. That's a total of 24 hours per week, and they're getting paid $11.15 an hour. Our summer youth leaders typically work longer for a total of 30 to 35 hours a week, and they are also paid more again with about $15 an hour. And also for a longer period, so not just the 7 weeks, they start getting paid way back in April. So a significant pay raise there. A little bit about the goals. What are we trying to do here? The short-term goals are to support existing local conservation efforts, make an improvement and be additive to this space now and immediately. Second element to this is to help them learn more about their connection to the Trinity River and also to share the experiences they've had along the river in the summer with others, therefore encouraging more people to change their perception about this river and maybe gain a little bit more appreciation. And then the long-term goal here too is that these kids remain active in decision making concerning their environment within their community, or are dedicated stewards to the river, or even better, maybe they pursue careers in conservation. We know not all of them will be scientists, but if they remain engaged in some way after this to any capacity, then we consider that a win. We try to do this and meet all of these goals through 3 main buckets in this program, which is education, and that looks like traditional classroom style learning, where we are teaching them how to do these citizen science projects. We're teaching them why these matter. We also have knowledge evaluation to gauge retention of this information every single week. And again, the professional development. A really wonderful tool that has helped us with this is a tool that Texan by Nature helped create for us, which is an educational guide on all things Upper Trinity River. So if we have any questions about how much annual rainfall we have here, what kind of history and geography we may have, this has been a wonderful tool that we go back to every single year. Another tool that I would love to highlight is the project learning tree, because it has been a wonderful tool and resource to pull activities that really drive home some of these points that we're trying to make. And also, we really love a tool that they have there that helps students learn more about environmental careers that they may thrive in the future. So we embed all of that in our education. I spoke a little bit more about the citizen science projects. They are helping with real life data collection through these projects that many of you may be familiar with, such as iNaturalist. We get them Stream Team certified, and so they learn how to do water quality testing, and they're adding their observations to eBird. And so all of these data sets are spaces that are or information that's being collected by normal people, and the point that we're driving home here is they might have been paid right now to learn how to do it and to help with actual concentrated effort right now for monitoring the progress in the spaces that we go to. But these are tools and experiences that they can take with them afterwards, and they don't have to have a degree. They don't even have to, have a focus in conservation or environmental science in the future. This is a tool that they can keep forever. And then lastly, the most tangible and visual and impactful projects are the conservation projects. So environmental improvements, and these are varied because it's based on the needs of each project site that we go to. So which project sites do we go to and what do we do? That is my favorite project or question that our kids have in the application process, because I get to answer with, we go everywhere and we do everything. This is a breakdown of, in general, what our program may look like in terms of themes per week, places we may be going to, the kind of work that they may be learning to do, and then some of the professional development that's sprinkled in throughout. So the themes have really helped us shape who we want to partner with, on what and when, because all these places are lovely, but if we aren't creating a meaningful story, then it's really hard to take home some of these messages that we're really trying to push with these kids. So by dividing it into different themes, it really organizes the whole summer for us. And so we like to go to locations because they are able to connect the dots on some of these themes that we're exploring, and some of these spaces have a unique set of what am I trying to say? Amenities, experiences, and expertise from the staff that really helps drive these points home. I like to use week 2 as an example of how we try to pull all this together when we talk about hydrology and introduce them to the importance of the water cycle and how that works in North Texas in comparison to the river, as well as how humans interact with it. We are also taking them to a wastewater treatment plant to really see the processes that it takes to keep this clean and steward it as humans. And then the kind of work that they do that week might involve storm drain marking in partnership with the city of Dallas to raise more awareness about the storm drains and making sure that these spaces stay clean and community members are engaged. As I mentioned before, 6 knowledge-based quizzes are presented to the Trinity River Crew on each of these topics of history, hydrology, hydraulics, geography, environmental justice, and ecology. And this is presented once at the start of the week before we've taught them anything, and then readdressed, same questions, same order. It's no gotcha. We just want to see how much of that was retained and kept throughout the whole week. Let me see. I've talked a lot about all these places that we go to and all the things that we do, and none of this would be possible without the partnerships that make it happen. So these organizations, I cannot thank enough. Many of these have been what we call legacy partners, which means that we've re-engaged with them time and time after every single year, some of these all 4 years. The breakdown on the kind of partnerships that we have too, I think, is also really diverse and is a testament to all of the work that gets put into this. Most of the partners that we have are nonprofits, are conservation spaces like the Audubon Center, our wetland space, but we do have government entities that are involved with this, like our own city, our county, TPWD. The academic institutions provide a lot of opportunities to pilot citizen science projects that may not quite be out there, but need the capacity that our river crew fills to get it started. And then lastly, I love highlighting our corporate partners like Bank of America, who really help with the professional development and bring meaningful feedback and information about professional development in early careers for these high schoolers that, me as I have lots of skills, but that may not be it. They are able to really fill those needs for us. And so the benefits that we get out of this, for example, if we go to any of these locations, is again the education. Each space has really wonderful educators that are able to speak about the point of difference that each space has. And they're also able to see different jobs out in these locations. So they're getting to go to all these spaces and see how conservation work looks different in each of them. And then I argue, most importantly, access to these green spaces. We wouldn't be able to touch the Trinity River on so many points of its forks if it weren't for these spaces lending us their space. The mutual value that comes here, what are these people getting out of this? Well, first of all, I love speaking about the acceleration that we're able to provide for these spaces. Most of these have a really wonderful, thriving volunteer program, but as we look at the year, though, most of that effort kind of dwindles in the summer. And here in North Texas, that's due to heat. Mostly people are off on vacation. The demographic that's usually helping with these volunteer opportunities are not compelled to come out in the summer. And so that is definitely something our partners cite as a need. There are just more things that need to get done. Things just don't stop in the summer just because people aren't there, and we are able to fill that need. And not only that, but we're able to do it in a very impactful way. A lot of our spaces have also said that the work that we do with them in one day and maybe 5 hours is more than what they're able to do in maybe a month with the usual capacity that they have. So we're getting a lot done in a very short amount of time. And the trade-off is they just give us a tour and tell us about their space. So it's a win-win because then they're also getting awareness of their area. All of these kids, the majority of them have never been to any of these spaces, even if they live literally in the same neighborhood. We've seen that be the case sometimes. So I just wanted to show this myriad of partners because we really couldn't do it without them. It does truly take a village to raise the kids, and they have all played an instrumental part in it. Okay, so what do we do with the program once it's done? We don't want to invest all of this time, all this effort, and then lose these kids. And that is a very big thing that I see sometimes when it comes to these programs that I've seen firsthand. We've spent so much time with them and we send them off, but if we don't have any processes in place to keep track of that, then it also makes it really hard to know whether what we're doing is working. So we actually started and flush this part out the most this year, and I'd love to talk about what that has looked like. Excuse me. We have, upon the completion of the summer program, this year we started incentivizing these kids to re-engage with us 5 months after that, therefore closing this loop of engagement that we have with them, because once February hits, it's a 6-month reunion and they're able to start applying to re-engage with us in the next summer. So in this 5-month period, we encourage them to be involved and stay involved with some ongoing programs that we already have. Like Green Space Dallas has weekly cleanups. Trinity Park Conservancy is now doing bi-weekly data collection down in the river to understand biodiversity that we have out there. And we've also offered the Slingshot Challenge as a way for them to stay re-engaged, which is a National Geographic challenge that asks high schoolers to create a 1-minute video about an idea that they think could change the world in an environmental conscious way. And so they take a lot of the things that they learned in the summer and make this an independent project that they work on for the fall and spring semester. We also, again, provide the annual reunion as a way to make sure that we are re-engaging with them, trying to ask questions of what have you been up to since then? Have you joined any clubs? What groups have you been involved with that may not be us? In that time, a lot of the answers that we've found is these kids are making clubs at school that are environmentally geared, or maybe they are taking up internships at some of these green spaces that they didn't know about prior. So these have been really great ways to stay engaged with them. And the secret tool that has made all of this so easy is Discord. And so if you're not familiar with Discord, an app that may be very similar that you may be familiar with is Slack. It has almost the same exact layout and serves the same exact purpose. The only difference is Discord was, I think, made before Slack, and it was originally intended to be a way for gamers to communicate. And because of that, a lot of the younger generations all have it. And so it was super easy to plug in with them. And what we do now is we begin our communication with them via Discord. As soon as they are hired, they are added onto the server, and then they stay on there for life. And so once the program is done, I'm able to reach out to them by cohort or all call to all of the previous alumni, and it makes communication instantaneous and significantly easier. And so these kids, most of them keep Discord, again, because they use it in their normal life, and they are able to stay updated through that much easily. So these are the ways that we're staying connected with them and trying to re-engage with them. how do we make all of this happen? Because at this point, I've talked about 12 months worth of work, whether it's preparing for the program, actually implementing the program, or trying to stay engaged and prepare for the next year. Well, these are the tools that I use and the way that I kind of break everything down. I look at the year, it's three main parts: pre-program, program, post-program. And these are some of the general tools that I've been using. Trello is my preferred method of um, project organization, but other tools like Notion, Asana all have very similar functions and are, really great tools that I have used. This one just makes it super easy. I like all of the um, free resources that they have. I haven't used a premium. And so I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. I have a calendar that has all of the milestones that I need to hit every single year. I have a resource tab, which is every single paper, every single document, Excel sheet, Google form that I need for this program, all categorized in one space. I have a contact tracker so that all of the organizations that I partner with, I know exactly what part of the conversation I'm in. Are we planning? Are we, already have we already done a site visit? Do we know how, like, what lunch we'll be having? All of those questions, all that tracked here. And then a weekly just breakdown of the major points that we're trying to get every week. The type of work that I do for this program evolves throughout the year. Most of the heavy lifting in the pre-program is administrative responsibilities. It is, let's finalize the MOU for both of the partner organizations. Let's approve the budget for the whole year. What tools do we need? What questions do we have for the recruitment and hiring selection? What documents need to be collected? A lot of it's also partner planning. When it comes to the actual program, the tools that I need change. I need to make sure that my curriculum is fully figured out. A huge element of the actual program that I think we underestimate is logistics. So we need a bus route, we need a food calendar, we need an expense list, we need an inventory list, all of these nitty gritty things like our first aid kit, all that comes with the program. And then post program, that is now, focused on re-engagement with our new alumni, our past alumni, engaging with new network connections, doing presentations like these to get the word out about the kind of work that we do. And then, of course, impact reporting. So summarizing all the work we did this year so that executives on the team are able to see, how much did this cost? Who did we impact? What kind of growth was measured? Down here, I have some of the tools that we use pretty commonly. All of these things live on my Google Drive, my Google Calendar. I communicate Gmail, but easily transferable to Outlook as well. Calendly has been a really wonderful tool when it comes to trying to schedule 30 plus interviews in a 2-week window. It's been really great for that. I will reemphasize the importance of Discord in terms of the communication with the actual high schoolers for this. And Gusto has been the tool of preference when it comes to payroll on Green Space's side. Now I've talked a lot about what this program is and how it's been fleshed out, but over the years, there's a lot that we've learned and a lot of questions that we face recurringly. And so these are some of the things that I'd like to talk about. These are also questions that I get most often when I am presenting about this or, to leaders within my own team. And so the first one is capacity and sustainable growth. Everybody loves this program and they can't get enough of it, but how do we get more of it? And as it stands currently, the program per year is about $100,000. And the question I always get is, how do you get the best bang for your buck? How do we make this $100,000 stretch and, multiply the impact as much as possible? And I'll say you can't. You can, but you can't. $100,000 for a year. I think squeezed it as much as I can by making it a year-long engagement. But the question is, this is for 13 individuals, 15 max for the recurring ones. How do we impact more kids? And as it currently stands, I don't think we can unless we double it. We make a new program, we get more coordinators like me. But as it stands, it's probably not going to go that way. I think this year-round engagement is as much as we're going to grow it currently. We aren't organizations like Austin Youth River Watch or SEA, where our main goals and objectives are youth engagement. This is just a secondary project that really aligns with TPC and Green Space Dallas. So I think by design, our model is meant to stay small and self-sustainable in that way. But when it comes to funding for this, we still have to figure out how do we get enough money to do this every single year. I do want to talk a little bit more about this $100,000 price point for this. This includes my time. This includes my salaried position and all the time that I take throughout the year to work on this. It also includes our coordinator and green spaces side's time as well, and the actual costs that we incur per year that include the payment for the kids, the food, the transportation, and any equipment and tools that we may need for this actually come to about $55,000 each year. Another thing that I also want to point out is that when we go about securing funding, Green Space and Trinity Park Conservancy have agreed to do that separately. And so we don't have to be fundraising for $55,000. We really only have to make sure that we have 25 to 30,000 to make sure that we cover our half of this. And so that $100,000 becomes a little bit more manageable and easier to fundraise for when it's really the hard costs, about 25,000 per organization to make it happen. But how do we share this in a way that is appealing for funders to give money to? And that was a challenge that we faced a lot in the beginning of this program, because a big question before was, is this a, educational internship opportunity? Is this actually like working? What are they doing? Are they learning? Are they working? And they're both. They're both. And learning different ways to share the story has been really crucial to this. So when it comes to funding and trying to acquire that from conservation spaces, we really focus on the impact that it makes with the data collection, what impact it makes for our partner spaces, and how we accelerate those projects. But we also, shift the narrative. And one that has been really successful for Trinity Park Conservancy as we acquire this funding has been, for example, with Bank of America, who is a partner in this that works with our professional development, but have also committed to helping fund our half of the program for the next 3 years. And their point, the point that was really appealing to them, was the fact that this program brings economic mobility. The fact that we are providing jobs for West Dallas and South Dallas youth, that is also implementing these tools along the way to make them better candidates in their young professional lives. So making it more likely that they'll gain more money in the future. And that selling point has been huge in the kind of funding that we acquire. And again, every year has been different. Each one of us gets it separately. In the past, it's been TPWD grants, private donor money. It really has been a very diverse pool that we kind of select from. Okay, recruitment. How do we make this appealing for the right people? And so I did speak a lot about this in the beginning when it came to who we chose to partner when it came to recruitment. And I just want to emphasize that that seems to be the winning answer, making sure that we are identifying these catalysts in our community to make sure that the right people are hearing it. But it's also, as wonderful as this may be and as comprehensive as we believe that it may be, it's also like, how do I pitch this and make this appealing to a high schooler, who may not care at the moment about conservation work and the impact it makes on the DFW area, and is more concerned about getting a job. And so it's been really effective pitching this as a stepping stone, because again, a lot of these kids don't have prior experience in jobs, and we're like, this is a really wonderful stepping stone. Not only is it a job, not only are you getting paid, but you're also getting tools to come out ahead afterwards. So that has been really appealing to them, as well as family members. another element too that makes this so appealing is that accessibility, like really selling to them, like we're making it as easy as possible for you to be able to join. All you have to do is, want to do it, be engaged and have enthusiasm. The re-engagement has also been crucial and has been a point of growth and reflection the past few years because it can be a little bit daunting after 4 years. Each year it has 13 new individuals. At this point, I manage communications with at least 50 individuals, to varying degrees. Not all of them are engaged, of course, but it's through the grapevine that I hear through about their milestones and what they're doing too. And what's made this kind of re-engagement easier is just plugging them back in, encouraging them to do the work that we're already doing. So again, these Saturday volunteer days that Green Space already existed, and just inviting them back. But a big thing that we've also learned too, and the reason that we want to incentivize them post program, is the barriers and incentives that were appealing or preventing them from doing this in the summer don't go away after 7 weeks. Those are still there. And so by continuing to address them in this extended period, it gives them an opportunity to see if they really want to be engaged with this long term, and it just incentivizes them even further. With previous years where we didn't incentivize this, we were getting maybe a fourth of participation, re-engagement throughout the year. And this year with this new incentive, even though maybe they made honestly like $20 for showing up to one event, it increased engagement or re-engagement by with 50% within the group. So at least half, and in fact more than half of the kids came back multiple times. So that's one thing that we've seen and has helped us with re-engagement. And then lastly, accessibility. We did so much work in the beginning to really understand what it was that our community wanted, was prioritizing, and what was preventing them from these experiences. But just because that work was done and we are hitting the mark, I believe, very well with these, doesn't mean that we get to be complacent. And the needs of our community continues to change. There may be needs that weren't brought to our awareness when this was being made. And a quick one that I have my eyes on that doesn't make or break this program, but might be something I'd like to seriously consider in the future, is knowing that a disproportionate amount of community members in West and South Dallas are undocumented, meaning that they don't have proper work permits and have a really hard time finding work. And so it's not impossible to fit their needs, and there are ways to do so, but how do we do that, and how do we go about that in a way that makes sense for this program is key. And so it is definitely a need that we have identified every single year. It has affected applicants in a disproportionate amount, I believe. Too many have unfortunately not been able to do this program and gone through the whole interview process before realizing, what barrier they had that maybe they didn't know about before. So those are the biggest challenges. Those are the biggest lessons learned. And I just want to end with some of our, well, there you go, resources and some of the spaces I encourage you to check out more if you're curious for more information. Trinity Park Conservancy and Green Space Dallas both do promotion about this program on their websites, as well as on our social media pages. And if you want to learn more about the Harold Simmons Park project, there's also information out there too. If I don't get a chance to answer all of your questions today, you can also reach out to me directly in my email below. But I just want to thank everybody for taking some time this afternoon to hear more about this program, and I'm excited to answer any questions that you may have now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jimena. That was super comprehensive and very interesting. And we actually have a few questions in the chat that I think we have time to answer. So one of the first questions was answered actually about how much the youth are paid. And then there was a question from Lindsay. Is there a link to the education guide? She'd like to
Yes.
see an example.
Yeah, absolutely. I can make sure that that is a link that I provide after this meeting. And yes, this tool is supposed to be used by everybody. From my understanding, a lot of it was pulled from archives that the Army Corps of Engineers had themselves, which I've taken a look at. It's almost 500 pages, and this curriculum condensed it into 30. So it's a really wonderful tool, and I can definitely share that.
Wow,
Uh,
great.
yeah, go ahead.
And then we have another question also from Lindsay. How long has this program been going, and what data do you have about the career path of the participants after the participation?
Sure
So like
thing.
what these folks, these youth ended up doing with their life, with their career.
Course. Some of this comes from, and here I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. A lot of this information is anecdotal, and that's basically me meeting up with them in the reunion and saying, "What's up with life? What are you doing?" Quick answer: this program has been going on for 4 years. We started our pilot project program in 2021, so 2025 will be our fifth year of doing this, which means that about half of all of our crew members have graduated to some extent, and many of them have gone on to pursue their undergraduate degree. I can tell you off the top of my head, we've got two engineers, we have two environmental scientists, we have a few urban planners, and a lot of them have directly cited this program as the reason for their interest in that space. Yes, so I think there was about maybe 6 or 7 that have identified that explicitly. And I continue to keep track of them. And I think our first batch of graduates is going to be in about 1 or 2 years. So I'm going to start to see what careers they're choosing.
Wonderful. That's impressive. We did have, let's see, I felt like there was another question. Let me check. Okay, so this is from Chevy. She says, I agreed on the importance and appreciate the effort on reconnecting and engaging the participants. How do you measure the success of this program to pitch to funders?
Yeah, that's a really wonderful question. So we like to go back to the education component that we have. A big selling point is that growth, that measured growth in understanding throughout the program, because there always is, they always have retained that. But we do a mini version, just checking in like which topics, which themes really stayed with you. We also do a they don't know that they're getting quizzed. They think it's more of a game night, but we are tracking some of the things that they remember, and so those are things that we're able to compare. You know, the in the program this week they retained this information, and how much of that may have been retained as a group at the 6 month mark. That is a really compelling thing that we talk about. We also try to capture the impact that we do at each of our location sites. So how much trash has been collected each summer, how much invasive species were removed, plants propagated, as many of those hard numbers that we can collect. That's something that we do. We love to highlight the diversity in our partners. Funders have really liked to see how we connect on a DFW level. And lastly, the anecdotes, the um, excuse me, the quotes that the students give us, we always ask permission to, you know, share their feelings about this program, and they are able to sell this more effectively in their own words than I can. So those have been some really great ways that our funders have been, you know, have found this appealing.
Thank you for that. Well, it looks like those are all the questions, unless somebody has a final question to add to the chat before we close the webinar. But this was very enlightening and is a wonderful model. You know, I don't know if you took a look at the participant list, Jimena, but we, you know, people from all over Texas, you know, folks from the DFW area, but then we had someone from California as well. So this has, you know, impact, you know, and resonates with folks everywhere, which is wonderful. People are always interested in learning more about connecting youth to environmental careers and, you know, the natural world. So this is a wonderful model of how you can make that happen in your own community. So
Thank
you're welcome. And I did put some information in the chat, including our upcoming webinars. We have one this Saturday. It's a teacher webinar, but if you're interested in the topic, you're welcome to sign up for it. And then I also put our evaluation as well. We do review that feedback and we share it with our presenters to improve on our webinars and get additional webinar topic ideas. So we thank you all for spending your afternoon with us, and we hope to see you at the next one. And I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and sign off. So again, Jimena, thank you so much. We appreciate all your expertise and time and presenting this webinar. And as I mentioned, we will be reaching out in a follow-up email with resources like that link Jimena mentioned, and then also the recording of this webinar. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Thank you.